Hello and welcome to the Fairy Little Podcast. I'm Marsha, also known as Fairy Little, and this is my knitting podcast. Welcome back to anybody who has previously watched and subscribed, and welcome to any new viewers. I just got back from Sorrento and I had an amazing time. I always feel so inspired when I go there, and when I come back I just want to knit everything. And you'll see, because of that, I've knit everything. So I finished a project. I'm just going to dive right into the knitting, and then I'll talk about Sorrento near the end in Jibber Jabber. So if you're not interested in the retreat stuff, then you can just not watch the end, I guess. I'll talk about what I'm knitting, what I'm wearing right now quickly. And it is a new t-shirt, and it says, "I find your lack of knitting disturbing." I ordered this in April, and it was supposed to be here for the 4th of May. May the 4th be with you. But they didn't have their shipping times for international orders. It's an American company. So it just actually arrived probably on Friday, and I just got it today. So I'm super excited that it's here. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't here on time for May 4th, but when I found out what their international shipping times were, it was right on time. So it has nothing to do with them. It's just, that's just how it goes sometimes. And the company is called Sun Frog Shirts. So one of their representatives got a hold of me and said, "Hey, I have these tops." So I took a look, found something I really liked, and it came in the mail. So I'm super excited about that. All right, I have a finished object, and it's right behind me. As you can see, it has not been blocked yet. I finished it at the retreat, and this is my Kettle Valley poncho. This version is knit in the Barocco Remix Light. It is a 100% recycled fiber. It's 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, 9% linen. It is a heavier blend than the Barocco, it's a heavier blend than the Manos del Uruguay Milo that I used for the original one. And it's a bit heavier, and because of that, it's a bit larger. So we had a bit of a fashion show with these at Sorrento. So I had a whole bunch of different ladies try it on. So a whole bunch of different ladies, different body styles. Scylla took charge of that. So there was no styling at all. It was just popped over their heads and a quick photo taken. So it's in a few of the pictures, it's not being worn how it's actually worn. It tends to, some of the ladies are wearing it more like this when it's more styled to be worn with the lower back and up in the front. So, but it is whatever you want, however you want to wear it. It's just that was just, Scylla took charge of that, and I just let her have her way. So I have, since I was knitting monogamously on this, when I was done, I needed a new cast on. I didn't need one. I have a ton of projects that are on the needles, but I needed something new for Sorrento just to be an easy knit. And so I cast on something for fun, and it doesn't have a pattern. I was just playing. So I cast on this. It's a one color brioche. I know I've just switched colors, so it's not actually two color brioche, which is working the two colors at the same time. It's just, this is one color brioche, this is one color brioche. So I am working that right now, and it is turning out lovely. I am enjoying it. It's really simple knit when it comes to brioche one color, because you're just brioche knitting every single row. So it's very simple in that way. And the yarn is really, really nice to work with. What I'm using is wool mice in the DK weight. So there's a couple different skeins that I've been using. So I've misplaced the tags for these. I'm sure they're with the other skeins that I have. I have about 6 skeins of this that I'm going to be throwing into this. I feel like if it continues on, if it works the way I think it will work. It will be beautiful. So I'm enjoying this. Brioche is really nice. I am using, I think these are 2.75s. I've knit with them so much that, no, these are 3 millimeters. And I've knit so much with them that the numbers are starting to wear off. But these are the carbons, or carbons knitting needles. So I'm knitting with those. I don't usually because they're not as slippery in the body, but they're very slick on the tips. And these ones don't have a problem with their joins or anything. I've had one before that had a bit of a spot that would catch. These are totally smooth. They're great to knit with, and I'm really enjoying knitting with them with this yarn. This is a really nice yarn to knit with as well. And it's 100% merino, superwash merino yarn is what I'm knitting with. So that's that. And it has no rhyme or reason at this point. It's just fun brioching. The next thing I've cast on is another thing I'm just playing with, and it's kind of a lace, I suppose. And this isn't anything quite yet, but it is going to be a design. So I'll just show you the yarn that I'm using. I have about this much done. And the yarn I'm using is called West Coast Color. And it's a DK weight as well. And it's 100% superwash merino. So on these skeins, there's 249 meters per 113 grams. So, and it's very nice yarn to knit with. I enjoy it quite a bit. So, and it is DK, so it knits a little bit quicker. And I'm enjoying that. I'm knitting on a US 8, which is a 5 millimeter needle. And I have a couple other colors that I'm going to be working with as well. And so the green that I have is Magpie. And the pink that I have is Watermelon. And then I have another DK weight yarn by Sweet Georgia, and is a superwash DK again. And it is 256 yards or 234 meters per 115 grams. And this is 100% superwash merino as well. And it is in the Cauldron colorway. So this is their black. And it's gorgeous. And again, it's a DK. So I was looking for black last year at Knit City. And there was only a few dyers that did more of a black that didn't have like a blue or a purple undertone. And this is one of them. There was another vendor there as well that had black, but I couldn't find them. So that was all on me, not on anybody else. But this is a nice knit. It is. I am doing a lace pattern because I really enjoy lace. So that is what I'm working on, and it is being housed in my Frog Peaks Creation bag. Who is Monique, and this is a big sweater bag, and she is on Etsy at www.etsy.com/shop/Frog Peak Creations. If you're interested, you can go and check her store out. She's got some really cool patterns, and this one actually almost matched the dress that I was wearing. It was in the same color family, so that was pretty exciting. So that is it for what I was knitting. I did a swatch with the class that I was doing, and I brought out the yarn and needles and cast on with everybody just so that I could show them with my own sample. But I also have a friend who was there as well, and she loves the bags that I used to make, and I happened to bring a couple by accident. I wasn't packing them on purpose, but they were just in with my shawls. So she came up to me and said she wanted to trade a yarn bowl for one of my project bags. So I traded her. I gave her 3 project bags, and she ended up giving me 3 sets of stitch markers, which I haven't unpacked yet. So I'll try to remember to show those on the next episode. But she wanted to trade me for a yarn bowl that her dad makes. They are handcrafted yarn bowls with recycled and upcycled materials. So, and they're all food grade. So food grade bowls that he refinishes and turns into yarn bowls, which is super cute. And I like how there's holes in it as well, so you can have different colors coming out of different holes should you wish that. And they're available in the Vernon Yarn Store, which is called A Twist of Yarn. So I think they have them on their online presence as well. But yeah, they're very beautiful, and I'm really happy about this. So, and I had no idea that she was wanting to trade with me, and yeah, so I was really excited about this, and it's a gorgeous bowl. And I was glad that I did bring those bags, because that wouldn't have happened had I not. So my friend Carla was there as well, Carla from the Knit Nicks podcast, and she gave me some stitch markers as well, and these ones I have handy, and they are by Bag Buds on Etsy. Bag Buds at Bag Buds on Etsy. And these little stitch markers are so beautiful. They're just so lovely, and they're very much my colors. So if you're interested in a set of these stitch markers, then just go and take a look. Go and take a look. They're amazing. They're so pretty. There was also a lady at the retreat who is a friend of the podcast, and she has, she and I have communicated back and forth. She actually won the Sorrento Shawl Knit-Along last year that I did. And she had purchased a yarn and pattern kit that when it arrived, it turned out not to be her colors. And she was looking for somebody to take it off her hands at the event. So I checked it out, and I hadn't heard of this because I'm under a rock apparently, which is fine with me. And it is the Birkin sweater. So that's what the little picture looks like, which is super cute. I think it's rad. So it's the Birkin sweater, and it is, I just want to make sure I'm not showing her address or anything. And it's a kit, so it comes with the pattern, and it comes with the yarn. So this is the main yarn. It's Lane's Urso Yarn Company, and it's 80% superwash BFL, 20% nylon, and it's called the Orla Rose. Onla Rose, yes. The color names are handwritten, so it was just a little difficult to read. Onla Rose. I'll show you. Can you see it? And then that's the main color, which isn't really her color. And then it comes with Ernestine Lily, and it's enough for the color work, so it's just the right amount. And the Sasha Loop, just a yellow and a green. And then Autumn Eva, and Prumil. So those colors, they're showing up very well on there. So the yarn was a little bit too yellow for her, and I do enjoy a nice yellow. So I'm pretty excited about this. I'm going to knit it up, and so thank you very much, Cindy. And I also have a friend who's knitting it as well, Vicky, and I was teasing her at the retreat and telling her that I was just going to stay up all night and knit it, and that I would race her. So Vicky has already started, and I'm going to cast it on soon. I'm just going to give her a bit of a head start, and then I'm going to knit it up. So into jibber jabber, because we've kind of covered some of the things from the retreat just as we go. And yeah, so I'm just going to go into jibber jabber now. So that part was very short, but this part's going to be a bit longer, I feel like. So at the Sorrento retreat, it was the 20-year anniversary. So everybody got a mini skein of Riverstone yarns in the Skywalker colorway. Riverstone yarns in Skywalker colorway. And then everybody got two different patterns. One was a baby toque. It's called Celebration Baby Toque. And one is called the Celebration Wristlets. So just how the pattern's written, I don't want to show it because I'm not sure if it's actually a free pattern or if it was just offered free to the retreat. But the color's really fantastic, and it is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And I really love her yarn. I'm a big fan of the Riverstone yarns, and one of the other attendees who's also a co-teacher with me in the brioche class, Rebecca, she and I both picked up the same color skein, and we're both going to design something with that skein. So there's going to be 2 different patterns with the same yarn, which is super exciting. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what we both come up with. And I'll show you guys that. I'll show you that yarn when I get everything all unpacked and everything. I just wanted to make sure that I podcast today because I didn't podcast last week because I was working so much and getting everything ready for the trip. So I had physically no time because I had to do appointments and children and all of that stuff, as well as getting ready. So going to Sorrento, my sister came from Victoria, and we got in the car after I got off work. I worked a night shift, which is 12 hours. So I was up for 12 hours, and then we took the kids to school, came back, dropped off car seats, etc., or booster seats, grabbed the rest of our stuff, and off we went. I was planning on sleeping in the car, but I am a horrible, horrible, horrible passenger. I have some pretty big anxiety about being a passenger in a vehicle, and that's just related to a bunch of stuff in the deep dark past. So I am a terrible passenger, and when we were going into Kelowna, there was a lot of construction, so it actually took us over 2 hours to get through Kelowna, and just from one city to the next city, which usually is about 15 minutes between these two cities. There's a bridge, and from one city all the way across the bridge to Kelowna was just bumper to bumper traffic, and it was so slow going, and it was really nice to get to the yarn store and take a little break and a little wander around and see everything in there at the Kelowna yarn store. And it is called the Art of Yarn. I have some video footage for the end of bits and pieces, mostly our trip there, and then I just actually left my phone in the room and completely forgot about it and just embraced the rest of the retreat. I had it at a couple different points because I tried to remember to throw it in my knitting bag, but it didn't always happen. So I was teaching, so we did a bit of a yarn crawl on the way up, and then we got there and said hello to everybody, checked in, and I took a shower, which was my morning shower at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I took a sleep for a few hours, and after that we went and had dinner, and we went to a pub that is just out. It's just a quick little walk from where the center is, and we went to the pub, and it was fairly okay. I ordered a chicken burger that was a buffalo chicken burger, so it was a battered chicken breast, but then it was soaked in Frank's hot sauce, like soaked. It was dripping like they had a bowl of Frank's hot sauce and then just dropped the whole thing in and then put it on the bun. So it was very hot. It was a different experience for me because I don't usually put that much hot sauce on anything. I like hot food. It was fine. I personally wouldn't do that again, but it was definitely an experience, not for the faint of heart. We came back and we did some knitting. So that was Thursday night. Friday morning, we got up and had breakfast and went to West Coast Color, and they weren't expecting us. We got a little bit, we were taking one road to get there, which is a really scenic route and it's very beautiful, and came up to a train track with a train parked on it. So we had to turn around and go all the way back and then back around. But it was a lovely drive. The area is gorgeous. It was a beautiful sunny day, so we didn't have to worry about like being stuck in the rain or anything. It was just an amazing just drive. And we drove with my friend Jan. She came with us, which was really fun. She's just this really unique person that she owns a bookstore actually in Nelson. And it is the coolest bookstore, and it has a restaurant in it as well. It's one of my favorite places in Nelson, and it was one of my favorite places in Nelson before I actually knew that she owned it, which was super cool when I found out she owned it. And I just kept calling her my best friend through the whole retreat, but to other people. So I was telling other people, I'm like, yeah, Jan's my best friend, but she doesn't know it yet. I haven't broken the news to her yet, and I hope she feels the same way I do. And so I was like telling a whole bunch of different people at different times. I'm like, that's Jan over there. She's my best friend, but she doesn't know yet. And I'm going to tell her this weekend. And so at one point, then I finally told her that I'm like, Jan, you're my best friend. And I just want to share that with you. And she just laughed and laughed. She's got an amazing sense of humor. She's just such a fabulous lady. And we went back to West Coast Color. We finally made it, and they weren't expecting us. Lynn wasn't expecting us yet. She was expecting some people during the day at some point, but we were there early in the morning. We wanted to get there and be back and knitting for the afternoon. So we got there and we gave her a phone call, and she's like, oh yeah, come on in. And we went in, saw all of her luscious, beautiful, amazing yarns. She has some glorious bases coming that were still all in the bag, so they're not dyed up or anything. They're there, and it was so nice. And all of her sheep were just running around. So there was a heritage sheep that had just had babies, and they were there, and it was so awesome to be out on this farm. And there's this big like barn building where she does her spinning and her dyeing, and you go in and it's just this floor to ceiling yarn, and just beautiful, beautiful colors. Her colors are so vibrant. She was at Knit City last year, and she will be at Knit City this year. So if you're planning on going to Knit City, her yarn will be there. She also does have an online presence. She's amazing, wonderful, wonderful soul, and we just had a really good time there, looking at yarn, sniffing yarn, and seeing what she had, and it was amazing. And she had some really great selections of not just her regular bases, but stuff that were her old bases that are on sale when you actually go in. I don't think she lists that stuff on her website, but when you actually go into her barn, it's 50% off. Like, just amazing prices. And then she had another section, which was like her old D-stash section, and each ball of yarn in that section was $4 Canadian. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. So she is in Tappan. It's a small town outside of the small town of Sorrento. It's between Salmon Arm and Sorrento. It's just like that little spot on the map in between the two. But Sorrento is one of those places also that if you sneeze, you'll miss it. After that, we went back to the retreat, and had lunch because it was just about lunchtime, and then we knit the afternoon away, which was amazing. There were some classes during the day happening. A lot of people were yarn dyeing with Riverstone Yarns. Susan from Riverstone Yarns was teaching dyeing class, which everybody that took that class loved. They adored it. So that was really cool, seeing everybody's yarn come in. And we were just sitting, knitting and chatting, and we went out onto this big deck for a little while and knit out there. Then we had dinner. At one point in the afternoon, I went and I took another nap. I was feeling very tired, and it was either have a cup of coffee and rally or have a cup of coffee and nap. And what happened was I had a cup of coffee and then I napped. So one of the things that is interesting about ADD, which is something I have, which is kind of why sometimes the podcast goes this way and then that way, is that coffee has the opposite effect on an ADD brain than it does on a regular brain. It actually brings me in, centers me, and after a full caffeinated cup of coffee, I can get an amazing sleep. So I had this nice cup of coffee, sat for a couple minutes, and I was just like, that's it. I need to go and sleep, because I'd only had, between the last 2 days, I'd only had probably 7 hours of sleep altogether in 48 hours. So I was still trying to pick up on some of my sleep. So I had a nap for a couple hours, which was really nice. Then we had dinner. We went out to, we went to the Home Restaurant, which is another restaurant that's just a hop, skip, and a jump from the retreat. And their food was really great. I had a chicken wrap, which was amazing. And I took my sweet potato fries with me as a snack for later. So we went back to the retreat center, and it was the 20-year anniversary of the retreat. So they had a big kind of kickoff party. Everybody brought snacks and drinks, and we did this knitter bingo, where it was a piece of paper filled with squares that had different things that you had to find somebody to check off each of these things, like owns a Elizabeth Zimmerman book, has been knitting for more than 10 years, has been knitting for more than 20 years, has been knitting less than 10 years, has met a knitting celebrity. So just like a whole bunch of different things, and it's super fun. It was so fun going around, meeting all of these people. It was just really quick exchange to fill this out, but it was just like everybody was like bees in a hive, and it was just everybody's moving around, talking to each other, and it was just a lot of fun. And then we did some more knitting, and then we all kind of broke off into our own little knitting areas and knit and chatted and had a really good time just visiting with each other. Some of the people that attend, it's the one time a year we get to see each other, so it's a lot of fun. And the more you go to knitting events, it's kind of the same. It's the same but different. Different events have a different feel about them, but you become friends with people that tend to go to all of these different events. And sometimes there's new people, and you know that they're new because you don't recognize them after you've been going for a while. So then, that gives you an opportunity to go and say hello and make them feel welcome, which was really cool. And yeah, sitting and knitting and visiting. I brought a bin of yarn that I'm not knitting with, that were odds and ends, but like full skeins. So if I did a project and I had a skein left over and I know I'm not going to knit with that, or sock yarn that I'm not knitting with, that sort of thing, I just filled this bin, brought it out, and let everybody take whatever they wanted. And then Scylla took whatever was left, and she's giving it to one of her friends who's a new crocheter, which is really cool. I'm really happy about that. The next day, so we went to bed. I probably went to bed around 11:30 on Friday night. Saturday was the big event. Had breakfast, and 9 a.m. went straight into teaching classes. Right before breakfast, went into the classroom, set up the seats. There's 28 students, 2 teachers, and Rebecca was my co-teacher. I couldn't have asked for anybody better. We got everybody going, and then we didn't see each other again basically till lunchtime. Touched base with each other. How's it going? How you feeling? Good. And after lunch, we went back to the class. And at one point, I thought we should take a break. And I was just about to say that, and somebody asked for my help. And then I didn't look at the clock again till 3:30, and the class was over at 4. So at around 3:30, quite a few people were saturated at their full saturation level of learning. So we just kind of petered out at around between 3:30 and 4. Some people had already put their stuff away, and it was a lot of information for a very short period of time. And after the class, a bunch of people were still practicing and knitting and working and like checking it out. We went for dinner. We had dinner at the center, which was really fun. And then we had, after dinner, a show and tell, which we do each year, and everybody brings a couple things and shows what they did throughout the year, the thing that they're most proud of. So I showed the pie shawl that I designed that we're waiting on, that I'm like waiting for the charts for. So that's being worked on right now, and it will be going to test knitters. And I also showed my poncho because I finished it while people were talking. I finished the last few rows, so it does need a good blocking. This won't be quite like that. So when we touched base with some of the people who took the class and with each other after, we did some brainstorming. Definitely learned some things about managing a class that size, and also about the time frame for learning certain parts of the technique. So we've come back with a lot of notes as to what to change and what we feel like we can do better. One of the biggest comments that we heard is that a lot of people couldn't believe how patient we were with each person, because we were just around doing a lot of one-on-one, because with brioche, when you're first learning, you kind of do need a little bit more one-on-one. There's some people in the class that learned fairly quickly. They picked it up pretty quickly, and then there was other people that, of course, were struggling with it and had a struggle with reading their knitting, which is expected. So there was a couple ladies that I taught how to read what they were doing. Well, we went over as a class what we were doing and what each stitch looked like, and then I had to reconfirm that with some of the different ladies just to break it down a little bit more, which absolutely fine. It was a lot of fun, and it was definitely a learning curve for me. I've never taught a class that big before. I've never taught a class in that kind of setting before. I've taught classes at a round table or on couches. So I've done it more at home or at somebody else's home is where I've taught previously, and just more of a relaxed, less formalized class view, I guess. And so I did learn a lot about that and about navigating through the different personalities and different types of learning. It was a lot of fun, and we both definitely enjoyed ourselves, and most of the people in the class enjoyed themselves too. One of my goals was to make sure that everybody took away a skill, and I believe everybody did take away a skill at least, and some people just like mastered it super fast, which was also really exciting. So that's going to take people on the next part of their walk. After the class was show and tell. Our show and tell went really well. Everybody brought something. That was good. And then on Sunday, we had a class of just like super like, it was kind of like speed dating classes. So each instructor was at a different table in a different part of this massive room. And we were all teaching something different. And you could just come and sit and watch, or you could like cast something on and specifically learn that thing. You could sit with the instructor or just pass through and watch what was happening and then move on to the next one. And just however you wanted that to be. If you only wanted to do this one thing, did that. If you wanted to do this other thing, you did that. If you wanted to do 3, then you just did that. Like, it was just so open, and I really liked that format. But there was 2 ladies that I taught how to knit continental style, and another lady who I taught how to refine her continental style so that she can knit faster now, and also her movements aren't as large, so it's easier on her joints and wrists and fingers and all of that good stuff. So that was really exciting, and those things are going away with them. One of the ladies, one of them learned how to knit and purl continental style, and the other one just learned how to knit continental style, and she was so happy just to do that. I gave her my swatch, and I let her use, because she had some wood needles and some really sticky yarn, and I had metal needles and some really soft yarn, so I gave her the metal needles and soft yarn to use, and it made a huge difference for her knitting. She wasn't fighting with her knitting anymore, and I showed her how loose my hands are when I'm knitting, and I said, just grab the needles, and she could just like pull them out of my hands, because I said, I'm not fighting with my knitting at all. That's how come I'm such a loose knitter, because everything is just so relaxed, and that's how I knit, and I think that's probably part of the reason why I can knit so much but not necessarily suffer all the consequences of that. I still get, like, if I knit for 3 or 4 hours in a row, I still do stretches, but you feel it. You feel it when you knit for that long. But I feel like I feel it less than I would if I was throwing, because the size of that motion, my motions are just very small. So yeah, it was amazing. And then that day also during the show and tell also, everybody pulled out the shawls that they had knit. Rebecca had done a mystery shawl the year before that people could knit, and I did my Sorrento shawl that I had given to everybody who attended. And so everybody pulled out their shawls of our designs that they had knit one at a time. They did Rebecca's first, and then they did mine. Only thing I regret is I didn't get a picture of everybody's together. I think that would have been amazing and so much fun. But that's just how it works out sometimes. Next day was our get together. So Sunday we did our speed classes, and then we did our goodbyes and had lunch, and during the lunch all the instructors met together to like think about what we're planning for the next year. During the farewell with everybody, everybody just throws out the kinds of classes that they want to take, and it all gets written down. Then we take those to a room, and everybody writes their number, 1 choice, 2 choice, 3 choice on it, so that we know which classes are of high demand and like how many people would be interested in that. And so the first class that popped back up was brioche and next steps in brioche. So so that there's still a lot of interest in that. Some people who took the class want to take it again and just get more practice with somebody with them. And some of the people who took the class are ready for the next step, like moving stitches and increases and decreases. So that will be really, really fun. And that was Sorrento, and we drove home. I was still really tired on the drive home. I took a nap yesterday. As soon as I got home, I knit for a little bit, and then I took a nap on the couch, which was lovely. I do enjoy a good nap. And so here we are. And that was pretty much my last 2 weeks. So I did, there's some stash enhancement stuff, but I'll just show that as I work with it. I find that works better for me. Unless something's like specifically, there's a time frame or it's a gift or that sort of thing. If I remember anything else, I will put it in next week's episode. Also, I'll unpack because I have not yet. I came home, took a nap, ate dinner, and then just knit. I will be teaching in New Denver the last weekend in June. So it's the Canada Day long weekend. I'm teaching a class. The limit in the class is 8 students. And I will be teaching brioche. So if you're in the area or are interested, this is a fiber event that's happening. And there's some dyeing classes and that sort of thing happening. If you're interested in going to New Denver and registering for classes, I'll put the information down below. And if it's not written on the screen, it might be a clickable link under the video, so it maybe possibly will take you right to it. And the other thing is there is also an event coming up in June so the weekend of June 15th and 16th, there is a sip and stitch on the 15th, and I do believe there's a pop-up shop as well, but I'm not sure. It's at a winery, so you can bring your yarn, bring a chair, and sip some wine while you're sitting and knitting and chatting. And then on the 16th, there's a marketplace and this event is in Kelowna, and it is called the Okanagan. That one as well, I'll put the information down below, and so you can check it out. If you'll be in the area, then you might want to go and check that out. And it is the first event. This is the very first event. There's some classes, and there's some, there's some recognizable names that are teaching the classes, which is excellent. And it's just a one-day event this year, and then it looks like next year it might be a 2-day event. So that is it for me for today. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great weekend, and I will just keep knitting. I'm so excited about knitting. Just keep knitting. Until next time. I just got off night shift, and Scylla and I have packed up the car and we are ready to go to Sorrento. So I'm just waiting for Scylla to get in the car, and then we will be heading out. I'm going to be sleeping in the car on the way, and I'm going to vlog it, I think, for your viewing pleasure. Hello, we're an hour and a half in. It's 9:52 and traffic was super slow on the bridge, but we are in Kelowna and we are about to go into the Art of Yarn. It is the yarn store in Kelowna. There is 2 yarn stores. One of them is closed right now due to, sorry for the bumping, due to a fire that their building had. But yeah, but we're gonna go into this one, and it's not quite open yet. So as soon as it opens, we're going in. But we're very excited.
Pedestrians. I saw you.
Find the pedestrians, Richard.
Should I keep looking for better parking? It's right here, right?
You'll see there's a sign. There we go.
There it is.
A Twist of Yarn is our next yarn shop on the list, and they're open. This is a great little yarn shop that is packed to the rafters with yarny yumminess.
Oh yeah, with 2 hands
Yes,
held together.
2 strands of yarn held together.
Okay, and are they doing that throughout the whole thing, I'm assuming?
I think that's just the neck band.
No, it's in the bigger container. It's all here.
Callie would love this.
I know. That's exactly what I thought.
They have it in red too, Mark. This is one way that makes sense.
Hello everybody, we've arrived at the Sorrento Center and I have had my morning shower at 2 in the afternoon and I'm going to take a nap before this evening's festivities because I didn't sleep very much on the road, which I thought I'd sleep more, but I didn't. So I'm going to try to get probably 3 or 4 hours sleep and then start knitting.